I have been working in IT for almost 20 years now. And as part of my work at Candler School of Theology at Emory, I have found that to be a ministry. And if you look hard enough into the social principles, you'll find it in there somewhere as a justice issue. I was on the board of Global Ministries back when Home Missioner was being added to the discipline. And I was like, wow, that's a really neat idea. And didn't really think of it for myself, but I thought of it for several other people in my social network. And I was also the person who read the names of some of the first home missioners as they were being commissioned. And because I was on that committee, and I was like, okay. And as I started thinking about it more and got through seminary and wasn't really looking to be in the preaching life, this really started to fit better. And it was a good way to use my Master's of Divinity degree because it got me through quite a few of it was more of a non-traditional way to get through the process. As I went through seminary, I wasn't really thinking, I was actually thinking missionary when I first started in seminary. And then I wanted to be an agricultural missionary, really when I started in college, but then I hit chemistry, and chemistry just about knocked out my academic career. So I started to look at other options, and seminary eventually wandered into that list. And then the more I got into seminary, the more I got to know more of myself. I really was drawn more to pastoral care and almost chaplaincy, but chaplaincy wasn't the right fit either. I mean, and all the way through, I was working in IT and helping people, and it started really shaping into a ministry in a way that I didn't expect. And then when I started looking at home missioner, I was like, oh, okay. And yes, that discernment event really made the difference. It was also the first time I'd ever been to Lake Junaluska, which probably helped because you just get that whole sense of holy when you're there. And being in a room of other people who really were focused on justice ministry was really cool. And I kind of wish I'd gone through the whole process with the cohort that I had been at the discernment event with, but seeing them come through and then get commissioned and become part of the order has been really rewarding as well. Beautiful things I find about the order and is the number of people, the broad spectrum of call. I mean, we have a firefighter, we have teachers, we have an archivist at a major seminary, and people at places you don't expect to find ministry. Like, I mean, for my new faculty, when I meet them and they find out that I'm a home missioner, they're like, okay, what does that even mean? And then I'm like, okay, well, if they're Methodist, I'll say deaconess. And they're like, okay, yes, that's great. If they're not, I talk about Presbyterian and Catholic worker movements to try to give them a context of where we're coming from. And they're like, okay, but how is IT that? And I'm like, well, when you have a crisis of faith or a crisis of computers, sometimes you need somebody, a caring presence, to be there to help you. And it starts to make sense after that to them. There are some limits to what we can and can't do as home missioners and deaconesses, but I mean, it's just the broad spectrum is just beautiful. Going beyond deaconess and home missioner into home missionary, the stories that we've had at our conferences that you hear of these long extended lives of ministry, and the fact that we're following in this tradition of service and love and justice. I mean, I think of Dee Dee Hefner and the work that she did. I mean, I probably don't even know half of the work that she did, but just her lifetime dedication to that level of service is amazing. And I don't want to keep name dropping, but Maurice Bonecutter, I really don't know what he did in his working life, but he was just an amazing person to meet. And 85, I think he was, when he came to North Carolina. I was like, okay, we weren't expecting anyone anywhere close to that age group who wasn't coming from Brooks Howell, but he came all the way across the country to join us at that conference. And just to be that dedicated and to keep sharing the story was amazing.